Hey there, it's Christine with Christine's DIY at Home, and today I'm going to show you how super easy it is to make hummingbird nectar. Now, I'm going to get it started and then I'll tell you a little bit that I've learned about hummingbirds. So what I do, I get 2 cups of filtered water. I don't use distilled or anything, I just use filtered. And what I do is I add about 6 to 7 ice cubes, which come out of the filter as well. And then I fill it to 2 cups with cold filtered water. And the reason why I do that is so I can, when I'm done with the hummingbird nectar, done making it, I can immediately put it out for them, because let me tell you, these are some hungry little birds. They actually eat 2.5 times their body weight. So, 6 to 7 ice cubes, then fill it with filtered cold water. And what I do is I pour just enough that I'll be able to melt the sugar. Okay, so it's about 1/2 cup. And then I pour this in. So I don't really boil the water. I just get it so hot that it'll melt the sugar. And you want to keep stirring and stirring and stirring while it's melting, because you don't want it to burn. And sugar will do that very quickly, so make sure you keep stirring. I just use a little whisk and just keep stirring and stirring. And again, I don't make it boil. I just stir it until all the granules are completely melted. So about hummingbirds while this is melting. Did you know, first of all, hummingbirds are the smallest birds in the world, one of the smallest birds in the world. And the way they hover is by rotating their wings in a figure 8 style, and that helps them to hover. And of course they were called hummingbirds because of the humming sound their wings make, flapping 80 times per second. 80 times per second. That's amazing. So, you know, they eat pollen, nectar, tree sap, insects as well. And let me see, what else do they do? They don't actually suck the water up, the nectar up from their beak, through their beak like a straw, which is what I thought originally. Instead, they have a tiny little tongue that comes out and it licks up the water. Pretty amazing. All right, so this is getting almost to the point where it's completely melted. I'm going to shut off the burner. Just continue stirring until all the granules are melted. You don't want any granules left in there, because if there are, they won't melt once they hit the cold water. Okay. Now, red dye. Some people put the red food dye in. I don't. Is it toxic to them? Well, I consider that a yes, because it increases their sugar intake 10 times. Oh my gosh, they certainly do not need that. So I don't put any red food dye in, and you don't have to worry. They will find your nectar, believe me. They know how to find it, they will find it, and as long as you keep it fresh, I renew my nectar every week for them, they will come back year after year after year after year. I have 3 that come to my house and every year, and of course I named them. One has a red throat, the ruby-throated, so I call him Redbeard. Then I have the white one, and I call him Whitebeard. And then I have BB. I couldn't decide on a name, so that just kind of worked, because he's always dive bombing the other 2. They're very territorial, and he wants the water all to himself, the nectar. So he will make these crickety chirping sounds and dive bomb, and keep doing that over and over and over again until the other ones take off. He'll get his fill, he'll take off, they come back. I put up 2 feeders because he was dive bombing them so much with the first one that I was like, okay, I don't think they're getting any enough nectar. They were, of course, but so I put up 2 feeders now, and my 2 cups actually fills both of these feeders. Now, the amount of sugar is 1/4 cup of sugar to 1 cup of water. That's the ratio. So since I'm using 2 cups of water, I used 1/2 cup of sugar. So I'm going to pour this directly in here. And what the ice cubes and the cold water does, again, it makes it so all I have to do is pour it right into the feeders and put it out for them. I don't have to worry about it being too hot, too cold, anything like that. It's the perfect amount. Now mix it up a little bit, let those ice cubes melt for a second. That works out perfectly. And you know, depending on how hot you get your water, if you only do it kind of tepid, then only put 1 or 2 ice cubes in. You don't have to put, you know, as many as I put in, but it's really hot outside, so this water, the second you put it outside, it's going to start heating up as well. So, okay. And then all you have to do, this is my favorite feeder. It hangs on a shepherd's hook. And they use it most of the time, and I think because this reservoir isn't quite as deep. So that's my own thought, but so you just fill up your feeder. And I just love having them. They're just so beautiful. And now that we have had the feeders out for years, we can sit right on the back steps and they'll hover right above our heads. One of these days, I'd like to try to get one to land on my hand by holding maybe a little cup of nectar. And that's it. This feeder does not drip, it doesn't leak, nothing. It is fabulous. So that's the first feeder. The second one has the red top to try to attract them a little more, but again, they tend to actually go to this one, so you really don't need a red top or not. You can if you want. I thought this was pretty and it works nicely. It has this reservoir that I fill with vinegar water, and it keeps the ants out because the ants don't like the vinegar, but the hummingbirds still will come and they will feed. And of course, you're only supposed to fill it to the max fill line, which is right about there. So I actually still have a little bit left over when I make it, but it's easier than trying to figure out how much for 3/4 cup or whatever. So anyways, there you have it. Hummingbird nectar. Thanks. Check out my other videos.